I can pick up this mouse and absolutely crush it. Hello, thank you again for joining me for Unfiltered Insights. Today we're going to be discussing the psychology of fear and thrill, the future of human augmentation, and mysteries of the deep sea. Let's go ahead and jump in again. Question 1. How do different individuals perceive fear and thrill differently, and what factors contribute to these varied expressions? Fear and thrill, I guess those can go pretty hand in hand, just depending on who the person is. I've always been the type of person that is very thrill-seeking. The more adrenaline, the better, is kind of how I've always looked at things. That often comes with the potential for severe injury, but feel that I've always been really good at understanding my limitations and knowing, like for instance, downhill mountain biking. I know if I'm coming up to something and I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, well, that appears to be over my level, and I don't think I'm going to take that big of a risk right now. But that's not to say I don't take risks, because I've done some pretty intense things, but I tend to know where my limitations are. Like, I've never severely broken any bones. I've done some like small things here and there, like I've broken some toes and probably a finger, and I fell once snowboarding on a patch of ice and pretty sure broke my tailbone because I had like a bruise about that big that was just black and purple, and that was absolutely nasty. Hurt like crazy, but I've done some pretty intense things. So how do different individuals perceive fear? So for me, fear doesn't come with looking at things that I don't know, other like myself, I would find thrill seeking. So like skydiving, to me, it just sounds like such an amazing experience. When I'm hiking and I come up to like the edge of a cliff, I love to stand at the edge of the cliff and look over, and like, yes, there, I guess if I like think deep within myself, like there is that bit of fear, like, oh my gosh, what if I fell? But the way that I process that myself is I enjoy it. It's a thrill to me. It's cool seeing that, because it's not something you get to see every day. And that, I don't know, I guess that can go for nearly everything that I see. Fear, what situation would I fear? I honestly don't even know. I can't think of a situation that I would really fear. Because to me, I want to experience so many different things, and that involves all aspects of, I guess, what I would perceive as thrill. So yeah, different people, I guess, though, they process that differently, because to them, they see the danger side of it and the potential for harm, loss of life, not knowing, like the fear of the unknown, I guess. Like they've never done something before and they're scared. Well, if I go and do this, and what if I get stuck to a point where, like, yeah. So I guess that's how people can perceive that as fear instead. But I never jump into like that side of the being scared about it. Anyways, question 2. Explore the evolutionary aspects of fear and thrill. How have these emotions played a role in human survival and adaptation throughout history? I guess it's more of a make or break situation, really. We have a lot of privileges being in like a modern society, and we don't really have to worry, I guess, about learning skills that I guess you would, teeter on that fear or thrill side. And maybe back then they didn't like perceive it as thrill per se, but to be able to, they obviously didn't have like downhill mountain bikes and the primitive days, and maybe they didn't snowboard in the sense of like going out and snowboarding for a sport, But there were certainly situations that they came across that, today I might look at that and go, holy cow, that would have been awesome. Like, how did they get across a gorge? Like, well, they had to, maybe slide down a rock face, or do free climbing without any ropes. And I guess that would be fear for me, because I like to climb, but I would like to do it with the rope because I know that there's a safety margin there and I can still have the thrill. And if I fall, I'm not going to die. Some people take that a step further and just free climb. So anyways, going back, I guess they would free climb to be able to, get up somewhere. But anyway, so all of these things that they would have to do back then that today we might just look at like, an opportunity to go and do, instead of a, life or death situation. Like, I need food, there's food up there, how do I get up there? Or, going down into the ocean and, deep diving to be able to, get some larger fish or whatnot. But that would make it or break it. Are you as an individual or tribe or group of people, or keep expanding out, at what point do you stop doing things, which means you're going to stop progressing, which means you're going to not really learn as much, which means other tribes or groups or civilizations can progress beyond you? And are you remote enough that your tribe or civilization or whatever can remain its little pocket, or is it going to get overtaken by somebody else that learn different skills than you and progress further than you? So I guess that would play into that human survival and adaptation through history, because if you don't adapt, you don't grow, you don't learn, and you're going to get taken over. Question 3. Discuss the impact of fear and thrill on decision making. How do these emotions influence our choices, and are there ways to harness them for positive outcomes? I mean, I guess fear keeps people safe. If there is a sense of fear, I guess, that comes along with not knowing you can do something, because that there can be potential for severe harm or death. So yeah, I mean, fear, I guess that's a positive outcome, because you stay alive and you stay safe and you stay out of danger and harm. But on the flip side, thrill also has a reward. There's a very, very large chemical reaction within you, adrenaline spikes and all that, like just dopamine rush, just all of that happens inside of you. And that, I guess that's what I like about it. I really enjoy that feeling. And at the same time, I, again, have my limitations where I'm not needing to go like leaps and bounds ahead of my own skill level to feel those effects, because again, I tend to know my limitations and where my make or break is. I've definitely known people that don't know their limitations, and they constantly hurt themselves and break their arms, and it's like most of the time I know them, they've got something broken because they get healed, and then they're like, oh my gosh, well, I need to go out and do this crazy thing, and then they're injured again. I don't see the fun in that. So that's why I've liked to have my own limitations. So anyways, on decision making, fear can play a role in that. Thrill can have a negative impact on that, but also positive, because as you make, that balance and you find out what your, level is at, you get that thrill, and you get that benefit of, like what I was saying, those chemical reactions within your body, the dopamine rush and the adrenaline and the just excitement, because you succeeded in doing something that was, maybe something you never would have thought you could have done before. Question 4. Explore the concept of controlled fear in various activities like extreme sports or horror experiences. How does the controlled exposure to fear contribute to personal growth and enjoyment? So I pretty much what I was just talking about. When it talked about horror, it just got me thinking about how some people find thrill and excitement in, like, scary movies, or going out to like on Halloween, like the nightmare factories, or places like that. um I never find I'm not scared of them. I don't have any fear for it, but to me it does absolutely nothing to me. uh, I look at stuff like movies and places that are like meant to like scare and jump out at you, and like, sure, if somebody jumps around a corner and screams with this loud noise, it's going to startle me, but I don't get that fear. And some people do have that fear, like, they're deathly afraid of clowns, and they go and they see a clown and it just triggers something inside of them. I don't get any of that. When I walk through those places, I think it's awesome to see how they decorated them, and I love to see how the people dressed up and the way that they, created a whole scene in a room. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, there's a creepy psycho clown with a chainsaw who's running out at me, and like it. But I just see the person. I see a person there. I know that it's a controlled environment. I know that there's places where like you'd have to sign a waiver because they can cause harm to you. Stuff. I don't know the legalities of all that, but I think signing a waiver, as long as it's not like major injuries, I don't know. But again, I've never thought it fun to like go out and do those things, because that's not where I find my thrill and enjoyment. Anyways, I feel like I'm going on a tangent here. Explore the concept of controlled fear. Yeah, that's right on point. Some people like that. I don't like that type of fear to give me a thrill. To me, it's got to be more, I don't know, myself against nature, like myself against something. I guess that's always been my thing. I love hiking, and I've done some pretty long hikes, and I know I've talked about those in previous videos. I love snowboarding and wakeboarding and downhill mountain biking, rock climbing. All these things have some aspect of thrill and adrenaline rush and potential for like danger and injury. But it's all things that has brought me a lot of that enjoyment in my life. So that's all that we got for that one. Let's see, next topic, the future of human augmentation. This will be fun. Share your thoughts on the ethical considerations surrounding human augmentation technologies. What are the potential risks, and how can society navigate these challenges responsibly? Okay, share your thoughts on ethical considerations surrounding ethical. That's a funny word. Okay, well, at what point do changes to your body break that we shouldn't do it versus that's okay? And do you write limitations in there for somebody who was born disabled versus somebody who is normal? Should you only allow augmentations for disabled people to make them more normal, or should you just keep it open for everybody, so long as you have the money for it, because it's not going to be cheap? I don't think I really care who does that. If somebody feels that they really want to change themselves, that's their prerogative. But don't, and I guess that goes into a lot of the talk of what's going on a lot lately regarding gender and all that. I don't care if that's what you want to go do. Just don't force me to have to do any considerations for you. You're an individual. I'll treat you as an individual and as a person. If somebody wants to go and augment their body, as this is talking about, via technology, and whatever that may come in the form of, brain alterations, crazy limb alterations, what may, don't force me to call you something else. I'm going to treat you as a person, and some of it might be cool. What are the potential risks, and how can society navigate these challenges responsibly? I mean, that's a tough question because we have no clue where that can go. And it's like all the AI stuff lately. There's a lot of these, big companies that are like, oh, we need to come in and we need to slow down AI development because it's gonna surpass us. And so they put all these limitations, but it's all out of fear because we have no clue where it's gonna get. Do I think it'll surpass us? In some ways, yes, it will surpass us. In other ways, I absolutely don't believe it will. There's no way that it can make the same logical reasoning that humans can, because there's so much experience that we go through. And by that, I mean, I can walk down a hall. A computer may not be able to walk down a hall. Sure, you can put it into a robot and have it, go and do that, but it also hasn't grown up from an infant and had all that life experience that I've had. Instead it would just be like, oh, here's my, robot camera eyes, and I'm going to experience life through, code and make alterations and changes based off of what I've been programmed. It'll be interesting when that starts to get integrated into human life, and I think that will happen. I think there will be ways that chips can be implanted to people's brains to be able to help them learn, or anything around that. So what are the potential risks? I mean, let's go to the absolute crazy level. A superior race of individuals who have been completely bioengineered and altered to the point where they can learn anything instantly and know it to perfection, and they're going to be able to surpass all normal humanity that hasn't been augmented. It's very sci-fi sounding. Is it possible? Sure, it's possible. Plausible? I don't know. Maybe in the very, very far future, but I don't think we're anywhere near that. I mean, we've got auto-driving cars that can't make it around construction sites on a freeway without absolutely freaking out and not knowing what to do. I saw in a picture, I don't know if it was a real picture or doctored picture, but it brings up, the fact of the matter. It was a picture, it looked like a Tesla from the inside of the car. I don't know what kind of car it was, but it was of their screen, and it said, software update failed, your vehicle cannot drive, you've got to tow it to the nearest dealership. Imagine something like that. If you've been augmented and you're the super powerful person, and you try to do some update, some software, or something malfunctions, and suddenly you're hindered. And what would that hindering look like? Is it going to be back to your baseline, or is it going to be worse than your baseline because now you've got something kind of in the way? To compare that, you've got a car, you throw a turbo on it. A turbo works by getting the gas from the exhaust and pumping that back into the engine, and that turbo's spooling up. Works great when the turbo works great, but if something happens to that turbo, say you blow the fins on it, or the bearings blow out, you've suddenly now got something blocking exhaust trying to get out of your vehicle, which is then blocking the amount of air that can get into your engine, and suddenly you're worse off than if you didn't have a turbo in the first place. But when it's working properly, you're well ahead. So that kind of is what I'm talking about. Like, if something malfunctions, if you've been biologically engineered, is that going to hinder you? And would that mean that if we have this super race of people, would it be to everybody? Because that could be dystopian like. Government comes in and says, all right, we're gonna shut down all you people, and boom, done. Don't know. um, can't know. So how do we navigate them responsibly? I don't know, just keep developing it. I don't have any problem with that. I think it's great to further our technological advances. Question 2. Discuss the role of biohacking in the future of human augmentation. These are going to be all pretty similar. Might just blow through them. How might individuals use technology to enhance their physical and cognitive abilities? What are the potential consequences? Okay, I mean, I guess going into the individual things people can do, leg enhancements, like legs and arm enhancements. We've got a lot of really awesome limbs that people can have now. It went from this, I remember even when I was a kid seeing my first like fake leg or fake arm, and you could very much tell, like, very stiff arm, kind of undetailed, back in the day, to now there's an amazing array of things that can be done where, like, yeah, they're not going necessarily for a realistic look, but functionality, holy cow. You see people that got those prosthetics on where they've got like individual functionality of each finger, and like the dexterity is there completely. It's like, once they find how it works for them, and they train their brain, because some of them attach to the nerves. There's some that's got I believe they got some brain implants that they're working on. Once we figure that out, man, it's gonna go crazy from there. Like the limitation will completely be lifted, and from there you'll be able to completely surpass what we're at right now. It won't just be a matter of I can pick up my mouse really, but maybe in the future that would be just a simple, easy thing. So something to think about. Going into that was limbs, and think about that for anything. Your eyes, people can replace their eyes with just telescopic vision, and whatever it goes from there. I have no clue. Are they gonna get X-ray vision, or whatever it be? I don't know. Maybe if the technology can get that small to get a little implant in the eye, but at what point is that going to be safe? Having this X-ray thing, probably not. But just spitballing, there's a lot of things that people can do. Be interesting. 3. Explore the implications of prosthetics and cognitive enhancements on societal norms and equality. How can these technologies be made accessible to a broader population without creating new disparities? Man, disparities and equality, it's a touchy topic for a lot of people. To me, I don't have any care about that. A person is a person. I don't care if you're gay, if you're trans, if you're black, brown. I don't give a crap. You're a person. I'm gonna treat you as a person. Just don't try to force anything on me, and I'm not gonna force anything on you. I want to talk a certain way. Great, let me talk a certain way. They want to talk a certain way. Great. To you talk your certain way. I like to refer to people how I refer to people. You refer to me however you want. I don't care. So how does it's going to create disparities in people. That there's going to be people that care. Now there is an aspect of that I think is going to change a lot of things, but probably maybe not. But you see it today in sports with the trans athletes trying to go in and compete. born male, changed to a female, competing against females that were born as females. I think that's bullshit. Without getting into the whole aspects of that, like, there are inherent differences, and that is going to happen with a lot of this technology. I think that did happen. I don't know if it was the Olympics, but I know that there was the prosthetic for like your leg that's got that like spring leg. That's a spring leg. Once you learn how to maneuver that and work it, that is an incredible advantage to running. You can literally spring yourself forward, and if you get really good at that, you can probably blow people out of the park. Do I believe they should compete against the average person? No, I don't. Do I believe they should have something to compete in? Yeah, I think that would be awesome. There may not be enough of them to compete or wanting to compete, so do something different where they do a time trial and they're trying to compete against a time. They're, instead of just trying to keep it the same exact thing, like, oh well, we've had this for 30, 40, 50 years, however long all that's been around, we've got to keep it the exact same. Create different classes, create different genres, create different events, something that wouldn't have differences of gender, or I've got a absolutely amazing mechanical leg that can make me sprint at 40 miles an hour. Whatever comes in the future, start changing things up. Why not? Number 4. What ethical guidelines and regulations do you envision being crucial as human augmentation technologies advance? Let me read that again. What ethical guidelines and regulations do you envision being crucial as as the augmentation technologies advance, and how can we ensure responsible development and use? Basically exactly what I was just saying. There's going to be changes that people make to themselves, and is it going to give you an unfair advantage to the average person of whatever it is you're trying to compete in? Are you a robot, call you that has super strong arms and super strong legs, and you're competing in a strongman competition? Unfair. On the face, that is unfair. So yes, there's got to be guidelines and regulations regarding that. How would that work in the workplace? Like, I don't know. If you are trying to hire against somebody that has, let's say, a brain augmentation where they can learn things instantly, I guess first off, why would they want to work for somebody if they're that smart? But to each their own. But at what point do you say you can't hire? I don't think that would ever really happen. That would, kind of be silly, I guess, for an organization to not want to hire somebody who's better fit for a job. But I guess that goes into the whole workplace equality that they try to push today. Like, we have to have X percentage of females to males to black, white, Asian, whatever it is, in a certain role. I absolutely hate when they try to push that. It is the most nonsensical thing to me. If you're trying to hire for a position in a company, hire the best person for that position. I don't care if it's a green person. I don't care if they are a female or male or trans. I don't care. Are they fit for the role? Are they going to be the best for that role, for the best for the company? Great, hire them. What do they happen to be? I don't know. I don't care. Doesn't matter. They're going to be the best thing for that company. Instead, you've got this false pool of people, and you're completely ignoring everybody else. which is the exact opposite of what you should be focusing on. Equality, give everybody a chance instead of creating a false pool of people. But that's just me, I guess. Anyways, next topic, mysteries of the deep sea. Share your fascination with the mysteries of the deep sea. What particular aspects of marine life or underwater phenomena intrigue you the most? I don't think I have a fascination with the deep sea, but and I guess I could talk about the things I find interesting about it. I find it crazy how the deeper you go, obviously the more pressure you get. We have on, walking on this earth, one atmosphere of pressure, but when you start going underwater, that magnifies intensely. I think just thinking about pressure itself is pretty crazy. How you don't think about it, but when you are a little fly flying around, but when you are underwater, the pressure you feel is the water pushing down on you. But it's funny to think of that, because when you look at it, it doesn't look like the water's pushing down, but when you're in there, that's what's happening. The water's pushing down on you. Get into semantics. It's not pushing down; it's being pulled down because gravity, whatever. But that's the amount of water that's pushing down on you, and the deeper you go, the more that pressure gets, and until you get to crazy depths where we're still trying to get down to explore, but it's hard because that's a crazy amount of pressure. I also find it fascinating how the deeper you go, the darker it gets, because light can only permeate it and go through so much, but you've got an entire world that lives down there, and it's not just like bacteria and stuff that doesn't need to see to feed or doesn't need to hunt, but you've got an entire world down there that has adapted to that. And it just goes to show that no matter where you are, no matter what you do, is if life can be supported, it's going to find a way. And it's fascinating to me to think of that. The anglerfish, the most popular one to think about, that's got that little light bulb dangling in front of its face to attract fish to it, and then it eats those and whatnot. But yeah, fish are adapted to that pressures and the darkness and the cold, the intense cold. That's pretty amazing too. Yeah. Question 2. Explore the challenges and technological advancements in deep sea exploration. How have scientists overcome obstacles to discover and study the secrets hidden in the ocean's depths? So everybody probably knows about the Titan sub that imploded. I would say we're not so far trying to do it on our own. That was a private company. I think it was Ocean Gate, I believe. Man, there is a lot of red flags there. I'm not going to pretend that I'm a engineer, but you've got a company with a lot of red flags going on. The construction of it was really shoddy. I believe I heard that they were literally dragging it across the sand and probably rocks and stuff, and it was a carbon fiber structure, and you don't really do that to carbon fiber because you can create weak points in it, and guess what happens to weak points? They fail. Interesting to think about that. Challenges of that, death. The people in there, they did not know it happened. I can tell you that. If you've never seen a picture or a video of an implosion, it happens like that. There's a video that I've seen. I don't know if it was Mythbusters that did it or somebody else, but they had a train rail car, one of those oil rail cars, and they were creating a vacuum in it, sucking all the air out, and a large train, oil car. That thing is beefy, hefty, absolutely super strong. And they're sucking it out and sucking out and sucking out and creating this vacuum. And suddenly that entire thing just boom, like near instantly. The second any little weak point happened in it, it goes. And that's what happened with the Titan sub. So they did not suffer. I know they did not suffer. They went. Also, that big of a change and that much movement happening at that amount of time also creates an intense amount of heat. And I don't know if they would necessarily feel that heat. And I don't know how that would go. Like if you were in a room and you can just have that heat for like a split second and then it's gone. But they say that like the heat that was generated in there would have been like equivalent to the surface of the sun. And that's not gonna linger because that's gonna dissipate pretty quickly as well, especially with how cold it was there. But there's a lot of things that happened at that time. And there's another story about an underwater they were some crew that was, I don't know if welding work or some sort of exploration work that was going on, but they had this chamber that was underwater so that they could live in it, so they wouldn't have to keep going up and down and up and down and up and down and deal with the pressure changes that you have to, like, I think it's a couple days or a couple weeks you have to wait after doing so long of a deep sea dive. But anyway, so they were able to go into this chamber, which had two ways to get, like two chambers to get in. So you go into the first one, close the door behind you, it depressurizes a bit in there, evacuates the water, and then you can go through the second door into your living quarters. Well, something happened with this one, and I don't know how that exactly happened, but somebody went into the first chamber, and before it was able to regulate, the second door opened, or something happened there, but there was people living inside, and they pretty much just disintegrated, instantly died. And you can look up the whole story about it. Anyways, this is challenge. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot that goes on underwater. What kind of regulations and obstacles can we change to figure that out? That's way above my pay grade, way above my knowledge level. I just know about these stores and the things that have happened. That'd be rough. But there's a lot underneath the waters that are yet to be discovered. Number 3, discuss the importance of deep sea exploration for understanding the Earth's ecosystems and biodiversity. How might discoveries in the deep sea contribute to our knowledge of the planet as a whole? I mean, like I was just saying, I think of the surface of the Earth, I think it's something around 70+% of it is covered by water. That's a lot of water. That's a lot of area. And mind you, I don't know the percentage of that would be considered deep. But regardless, a lot of it is deep. And a lot of it is hard to get to. And we can't just, go put on some flippers and a snorkel and go look down at it and, easily, learn. Even stuff that's relatively shoreline is really hard to figure out what's going on there. We don't even really understand all the implications that's going on with like the coral reefs, and that's relatively shallow. There's a lot of, is it our changes from the world? Is it, just natural changes? What's going on with it exactly? We have theories of what's going on, but we don't know what's going on. And that's just what we can easily get to. There's so much way below. Will we ever get there? don't know. Will we ever get to the point of just being able to map everything and understand everything? And at what point? At what point do we keep learning more and more and more? There's a lot more to learn. That's pretty much all I got on that one. Talked about a lot in the previous question. Last question. Number 4. Share your perspective on the potential benefits and risks associated with deep sea mining. How can we balance the exploration of resources with the need to protect fragile underwater ecosystems? I mean, yeah, I guess that's just what I was saying. We don't know exactly what our activities are changing. We can see some changes happening, but again, there's always been changes as long as the Earth has been here. Always. We have very clear evidence of that. If you dig down or look at anything, it's always changing. We come in and we think that we're doing good. Like, for example, the large like sequoia forests and redwoods and all of those. Like we come in and we're like, oh hey, there's a fire. Well, guess we should put out these fires because we're protecting these trees. And we do that for years and years and years, and we wonder why the trees are not doing good and they're not healthy, and the population of the trees are not, they're not growing anymore. And then we come to discover, oh, guess what? Those fires are good because the fires are what releases the seeds, and that's what keeps the nutrients in the ground. Because if you take 2 fields and you burn one field and then you let the other field die naturally, and then watch them grow back, the burnt side is going to grow back much further because it released those nutrients into the ground. And so here we thought we were doing good to these forests, but in fact we were doing the opposite and we were being detrimental. And so what changes are we doing to the world to be detrimental versus being good? Or just is what we're doing completely neutral and these changes would have happened on their own? It's impossible to tell. It's so hard to be able to figure that out. And I guess I shouldn't say impossible, especially when it comes to underwater. There is a lot of mining that goes on. There's a lot of oil rigging that goes on. I don't know if that would be considered mining. I've been lumping it in with mining. But there is mining that can happen. A lot of our mining, majority of our mining is done above ground, or in caves and whatnot. But to do it underwater brings an entire different challenge. How do you get equipment down there? It's salt water. How do you protect the equipment from salt water? How do you protect the people? How do you, light it properly? Just so many things. And how do you deal with the, oh, now I'm digging into the ground and, water is obviously going to go through. And how do you deal with it or let it be? Or there's so many things that go into that. So it's super hard to say about how to protect that, the risks. Yeah, that's the risks. So many risks about that. But when we get there, we're going to get there, and we'll, I guess, deal with it then, because I don't know. I haven't looked into that. It's not something that I've really tried to expand my knowledge base on, but that's all I got. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time. Again, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later.